Capital One is bankrupt and closed down, ladies and gentlemen. Capital One is bankrupt. Well, in reality, they should be closing down. However, they got a bailout. Why did they get a bailout? Well, this is not their first time to get a bailout, ladies and gentlemen. The last time, 2006, fourth quarter, when the market crashed, we, the people, bailed out a lot of stinky bankers, okay? We don't even know who they were because the Fed kept it underneath the table. But I can tell you this time, one of the banks that failed, one of the biggest banks that failed in America, the very first one was Capital One. And we had to bail them out, which basically means that they were bankrupt. They didn't have enough money to support their employees, to support their overhead, and to, more importantly, to have your money and my money in their banking accounts if we are banking with them. So again, Capital One is bankrupt. They had to bail them out. And here's the thing. This is not going to be the first time, in my opinion, for the bailout of Capital One, because Capital One is a big real estate bank and they're also a big credit card bank. And the reason they went bankrupt was neither of these ideas I just mentioned. They went bankrupt because they did a lot of lending for gas and oil companies, and with the price war going on with the number 2 producer of oil, which is Russia, and the number 1 producer of oil, which is OPEC, there's a war going on. And because of the petrodollar, if you don't know what that is, then go back to my YouTube channels and study it. But because of the war going on with the petrodollar, with Russia and the Saudis or the OPEC, a lot of the loans that Capital One had given to these shelf companies are going belly up because they can't make their mortgage payments, they can't make their debt payments because of oil prices being so low, and it costs these companies a lot more to produce this oil. So therefore, all the companies that had borrowed for Capital One couldn't make their payments, and therefore it made Capital One go bankrupt, belly up, just close their doors. But unfortunately, since they're too big to fail, our government, doesn't allow these guys to fail. So it allows them to continually mismanage our money, and then when they're making massive profits, it's privatized. The CEOs and the top management and the stockholders make a lot of money. But whenever there's a loss, right, when there's losses, then we have to basically, socialize the losses, privatize the profits. If you guys wonder where I'm doing, guys, I'm out here camping with my kids. We're riding bikes. So everyone is in quarantine, but we're living life up because we follow our hearts, and that's why I do my channel, for you guys to have abundance. Doesn't matter if the market is up, if the market is sideways, if the market is down. I show you how to create abundance, wealth, freedom, which is the most important thing, because in my opinion, chasing a bunch of money, accumulating a bunch of stuff doesn't mean anything if you don't have freedom to hang out with your kids and do what you love. So going back to Capital One, this is the round 1 of bailouts in my opinion. There's going to be 2 or 3 more bailouts coming for them, because as I had predicted since 2016 that we're going to have the biggest crash coming in real estate. And so the first bailout for Capital One was the oil crisis. Then we're going to have to bail them out for the real estate crisis because they've lent a lot of money out. And then we have to bail them out for credit cards because Capital One is one of the biggest credit card companies out there. And guess what? With over 3 million people in quarantine, over 3 million people unemployed, do you think any of these people have the Capital One credit card? Do you think any of these people have the mortgage with Capital One? Well, guess what? There should be massive bank runs on Capital One when people can't pay their credit card bills, because Capital One uses the cash flow from the credit card bills. They get the cash flow from the property they lend it on. They're going to get the cash flow from all the debt they have produced, and like the oil companies, they can't pay. Next is going to be the housing market. They're not going to be able to pay, and at the same time, we have the job losses of people not going to work, which they can't pay. So Capital One is about to get really, really squeezed, multi-dimensional, from oil, from credit cards, from the housing, and they should have gone belly up in the last crash, but thanks to Big Brother and the way we have our systems, we reward big corporations for making massive profits, right, and making bad bets. And then at the end of the day, when they go belly up, we the people come bail them out because they're too big to fail. Which I can't disagree with more, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like if you want to have a free capitalism, then you got to let these companies go bankrupt, because if Capital One mismanages and does derivative lending, if they do bad loans, then they should go under. Okay, if Bank of America does the same thing, they should go under. We shouldn't be bailing them out like the last crash. And Wells Fargo does bad investment, let them go under, because there'll be new companies or newer technologies like Bitcoin that will replace these people. But unfortunately, it's kind of like back in the days of the kings and the noblemen's, right? The kings are Big Brother, and the noblemen's are the corporations like the bankers and all these people that we bail out. And of course, the king and the noblemen don't give a rat's ass about the working class people, the peasants. Where in my channel, I want to empower everyone to have abundance no matter what the economy is, and that's what I do. And that's why I say that we need these companies to go bankrupt, because really they're not companies if they can't survive the ups and downs. For example, I know a lot of small business owners, a lot, right? My whole family and cousins, I mean, you name it, myself. When hard times come, we just become more creative. We figure ways to survive it. We have to stash our chips in a safety corner, because we can realize that the market's not going to always go up. So if a little guy can do that, I don't know why a big guy can't do that. I don't know why a guy that has offices all around the world, like Bank of America or Capital One, why they can't see the future coming. A refugee like myself could saw what's going to happen, the meltdown that's going to happen back in 2016, and that's why I started warning everyone. I don't know why these big guys can't. Well, I think they can. They just don't care, because they know you and I are going to bail them out. And this is the problem with America. We have too many stupid companies like GM. They make shitty cars these days. Like one time, they used to make awesome cars. Ford, they used to make awesome stuff. Today, they make shitty cars. They're not going to produce cars anymore. I brought to you on my YouTube channel months and months and months ago that they're going to stop making cars, because they can't compete with the Toyotas and the Hondas. So we need to go back to companies that are going to make awesome products that Americans are going to be proud of, because it'll last a long time, right? It lasts a long time. It's highly good quality. Used to be when something was made in America, you have great pride in it, right? Today it's not the same. If something's made in Germany, and we're like, yeah, man, it's a BMW or it's a Mercedes or it's German made. But today in America, you say something's made in America, it has no value to most people. That's why they know that the shit's gonna break. That's why no one's gonna be buying a Ford Focus when you could buy a Honda Civic. No one's going to. I mean, I'm sure people do, but not the majority, because people value their money. No one wants to spend 30 grand on a Focus that's going to break down and have transmission problems versus a Honda Civic. And so the point of the story is that we need to be like nature. Nature has seasons where it cleanses itself, right? And we need to do the same thing in our economy. Corporations and businesses and banks and who cares, manufacturers that don't prepare, don't put the little money to the savings for a bad rainy day, that take too much risk, that only focus on growth, that only focus on, growth versus stability versus security versus strength, and they got to go bankrupt. They got to go bankrupt. They got to go belly up, dude. They got to go belly up, because there's going to be new competitors that are going to take their place, and they're going to do a better job. But Big Brother doesn't allow us to recycle like nature does and lose the lease, if I could use that analogy, lose the lease, lose the deadbeat companies that are straining and draining our life support when they're not really great companies. So simply put, in my book, in my mind, Capital One is bankrupt, and they should have closed their doors down just a couple of weeks ago. And that's what would have happened if we hadn't bailed them out. But the powers to be are more worried about you know bailing out big bankers versus me and you. They're going to give the average worker $1,200, where these banks are getting God knows how much money. It's hard to understand when we're talking about billions and trillions of dollars. It's hard to digest that amount. Where the average person in America just wants to have $1,000,000, where these guys are getting billions left and right, guys. So anyways, dude, Google it. Capital One is bankrupt. They should have the doors closed down. The reason they're still in business is because the bailouts, guys. Thanks for watching. Click the like button. Share this message. Let me know what your thoughts is. Do you think these companies should go bankrupt, or do you think we should keep bailing them out because they make bad moves? Peace.